Welcome back to This Day Live, the Sunday talk show here on the Arise News channel. I still have with me Professor Bola Akintenuwa, Director General, Bolitech Center for International Diplomacy and Strategic Studies, Professor David Awurawo, Professor of International Relations and Strategic Studies at the University of Lagos, and Chike Ogea, former Commissioner for Information Delta State and currently Managing Director of McFoley Limited. Suspected attackers of worshippers at St. Francis Catholic Church in Owo, Ondo State, have been arrested. Chief of Defense Staff General Lucky Rabo, who announced the development at a briefing in Abuja on Tuesday, revealed that the arrests were made possible by a joint operation of all the security agencies. 40 persons were killed when the gunmen stormed the church on June the 5th. Opening fire on the congregation, and they detonated explosives as the worshippers camped out for safety. Operatives of regional security outfit Amotekun Corps in Ondo State had earlier claimed that they also arrested some suspects in connection with the killings. Meanwhile, barely 24 hours after the release of the latest batch of kidnapped train passengers, President Muhammadu Buhari met with some family members at the presidential villa. The meeting came 135 days after the incident. The president condoled with the families of the victims and those who lost their loved ones. He also repeated his promise to ensure the safe return of the remaining captives. President Buhari said the terrorists will be hunted down, pursued, and spoken to in the language that they will understand. He revealed that the government had considered deploying little military force in the rescue efforts, but eventually discarded the idea. Still on the issue of insecurity, Governor Nasir El-Rufai of Kaduna State has disclosed that he sent a late July memo to President Muhammadu Buhari detailing how terrorists have been trying to create a parallel government in the state. The governor said he told the president that the terrorists want to make Kaduna State their permanent operational base. The terrorists belonging to the Ansaru sect are believed to have moved to Biningwari in Kaduna State in 2012 when they broke away from Boko Haram. In the memo, the governor laid bare how the terrorists have infiltrated and dominated communities and formed a parallel governing authority, exercising control over social and economic activities and dispensation of justice in the area. He said the terrorists had advanced in their plans to make Kaduna forest areas their permanent operational base for the Northwest region, citing a series of intelligence reports. That's the situation. And joining us now to have a quick review of these latest developments in the war against terror is Ladi Thompson, a conflict resolution consultant and special advisor, conflict resolution and matters related to terrorism at the Christian Association of Nigeria. Pastor Thompson, good to have you on the program. Thank you for joining us.
Pleasure is mine, but a quick point of correction. I concluded my tenure as special advisor to the last CAN president, and I'm not likely to renew that with the new one.
Okay, very good. Point well taken. But Pastor Thompson, is this war against terror, is it winnable? You once recommended a 360-degree surveillance security plan and all of that. Okay, where are we at this moment? Do you think that this war is winnable?
Well, first of all, let me say categorically that we still can win this war. But I'm going to insist that the challenge that the country is facing is that we are dealing with something that the country has refused to diagnose properly. We are dealing with a hydra. And one of the greatest errors that we continue to make is to insist on the militarization of this war against terror. If we continue to think like this and continue to do things the same way, the outcome will be predictable, because we're dealing with a very intelligent Hydra. And the kinetics aspect, the military arms of it, is just one of the heads of the Hydra. So if we look at it from that perspective, you would realize that what we need right now is a change, a radical change of mindset. You see, what is failure? Failure is a set of thoughts, it's a paradigm. You think in a way and conclude that it should yield results. Now, if you make that paradigm a habit, you think like that over and over again for 1 month, 2 months, 1 year, 3, 4, 5 years, failure will be the outcome of that paradigm. So right now, whether we like it or not, we must have a major paradigm shift.
No, you are talking about a paradigm shift. The president just had a meeting with the major stakeholders, the national security advisors, all the key persons. And what the papers reported in the last 24 hours is that, look, state resources are overstretched by terrorism. But our government is willing to come with a new set of ideas. So the change in strategy that you are talking about, they are talking about them. Are you saying that the change that President Buhari and other stakeholders, beginning from the security chiefs down the line, that those strategies do not make sense? Have you even taken a look at them?
Well, what I'm just pointing out is that this has gone on for more than a decade. Actually, this war started much, much earlier, but it was designed to be difficult to detect. Now, I like to speak from the perspective of like a medical doctor who is looking at his disease and its symptoms. Now, the challenge that we have here is this. I said something that as long as the emphasis is heavy on the militarization of this war, there are many other things that just have to be done that have never been in place, are still not in place, and there's no sign that they're going to be in place. So as long as we continue to do this, we're dealing with a Hydra that has a head in the economy, it has a head in education, it has a head in diverse aspects of our daily lives. It infiltrates nations and uses moves from within. One of the things that I've been expecting since is that there needs to be a clean sweep of the stables. If you remember in the days of President Goodluck Jonathan, he had the candor to address an issue then that, look, there are moles even in high places around me. Now, the truth be told is that we as ministers pray for people in the war front regularly. Now, whether we like it or not, certain policies all along, I mean, whoever it was that thought about debriefing captured terrorists and absorbing some of them into the Nigerian army and things like that, I can catalog them, through the years and point out to you that this points clearly to infiltration in high places. And as long as we don't take care of these things, there's no amount of good intention, no amount of increasing budgets. There are some things that cannot be solved with just money. As a matter of fact, there are some areas where we need to begin to deploy low tech, where we're still focusing on this traditional, approach. So it is in that light that we need to see something radically, a total mobilization of the entire nation to realize that this is a nation at war.
Okay, Pastor Ladi Thompson, please stay with us. We need to take a short break. When we return, I would like to interrogate the points you have made a little bit further, because the president had a meeting a few days ago where they were talking about a new strategy, what they call the NCMD strategy. Before now, we heard about security architecture. Now it is NCMD. Okay, maybe some of the things you are suggesting, maybe they are already thinking in that direction. Maybe the government will be able to make a difference with NCMD, although we get these acronyms again and again. But stay with us. We'll take a short break. When we return, Ladi Thompson, Pastor, will still be here. We'll be right back. Welcome back to This Is Live, the Sunday talk show here on Arise News Channel. Our guest is Pastor Ladi Thompson. Pastor Thompson is a conflict resolution consultant and special advisor conflict resolution and matters related to terrorism at the Christian Association of Nigeria. Pastor Thompson, thank you very much for staying with us. I was asking you about the National Crisis Management Doctrine, SCMD, just adopted, announced by President Muhammadu Buhari, meeting with security chieftains in Nigeria. What difference can this make, really? Because they are talking about forestall, secure, identify, prepare, implement. Yeah, what's new? What's new?
Well, it's a step in the right direction that would have been more appropriate about 4 or 5 years ago, if you ask me. And I'm saying this because, again, the National Crisis Management Doctrine talks about, involving ministries, departments, agencies. If you are going to deal with what Nigeria is facing, you need to go way beyond that. You are talking about mobilizing an entire country. And that list has to expand way beyond what you're looking at. Because the major part of this war that's going on in this country right now is the war of narratives. A major part of the war is the war of narratives. Don't forget that one of the things working for us in this country is that we are 200 million plus strong, and we have a landmass of in excess of 730 square kilometers. Now, all these things are working in our favor because the enemy we are dealing with doesn't have the numbers, as it were, to manage Nigeria effectively. So if this is ever going to work, it has to be in the war of narratives. I have yet to see it in the NCMD. And as long as the war of narratives is not, go and study most of the nations that crumbled. Once the entire populace is not involved collectively in sorting out these issues, and there's a distrust and a gap between the public and the average person, you're going to find that the loyalties right now are wavering left, right, and center. So if we're going to get this done right, we have to go a bit much more than this NCMD. I speak with this gravitas because of the lives of people. I've been tracking this for 20 years plus. Okay? And when I speak like this, I speak because there are families that are crying. There are bereavements going on all over the whole place. And we cannot, as a nation, continue to allow terrorism to be 5 steps ahead of what we have. We have to be ahead by at least 12 steps.
Okay, Pastor Thompson, we have to wrap this up very quickly because I still have other guests coming onto the program. But I would like to ask you your thoughts about Muslim ticket being proposed to Nigerians by the All Progressives Congress, and what you think that the presidential aspirants, candidates as they now are, and we know them to be so, should do about the security challenge in Nigeria. Briefly, because we need to move on.
Right now, none of the presidential aspirants, absolutely not one of them, has made public any security plan that is pragmatic, practical. And the truth is that even the event of the election itself, it still rests on the security question. So if you ask me, I believe that whoever is going to be the real president of Nigeria needs to be like a Winston Churchill. A Winston Churchill who, at the time when Daladier and Chamberlain were holding meetings to secure so-called peace with Adolf Hitler, had already begun to tell Britain that, look, this is what is going to happen next. So once we see the person amongst them who comes up with a comprehensive plan, Now, for the Muslim issue, it's very unfortunate because we've tried that out in Kaduna State. We had all the promises in Kaduna State. And you see, if you study Nigeria well, as goes Kaduna, so goes Nigeria. So the Muslim ticket is unfortunate. However, I'm not shutting the door to it because if they have consultations with the leaders of Christianity and we're able to have what I call the Second Amendment, that is, we are tired of terrorists coming with guns and sophisticated weapons, and citizens, Muslims and Christians, are helpless. If we're going to introduce gun laws with strict controls that will level the playing field, then if it's a Buddhist ticket, nobody's going to be too worried. But unless such things are in place, it's a no-no.
Okay, on that note, I would like to thank you very much, Pastor Ladi Thompson, for joining us on this Lively Sunday talk show. We'll take another short break. When we return, the conversation will continue. We'll be right back. Please stay with us.